Okay, so the challenge is to define sports' greatest moments, and I've put together a panel here and given them the opportunity to pick their top 5. We were talking to Neil Hartman of Comcast Sportsnet, and he gave us a couple of his. We're going to move on very quickly so that I can get reaction.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Cassius Clay.
Yeah, because I think this was in 1964 when Cassius Clay beat Sonny Liston. It was in Miami Beach. He won in a TKO. Liston didn't answer the bell in the 7th round, and after that fight, well, he became Muhammad Ali a week later. He goes, I'm the greatest, I'm the greatest. He's the greatest athlete in the history of sports, in my opinion. Pele could be up there as far as a worldwide figure.
Okay.
So Jim Thorpe, yeah, again, I'm going more on, this is Neil's list now.
Right,
that's Neil's list.
That's another segment.
And then Tiger Woods, because what he accomplished at the Masters in '97, winning by 12 strokes, unbelievable. And then finally, for me personally, it's Notre Dame ending UCLA's win streak of 88 in a row was unbelievable.
Okay, so you guys have heard his top 5 now. Anything you wish you'd added to yours, or do you agree with most of them?
No, I'm good with my list, but what's interesting about Neil's list, you know, we said how hard it is to whittle it down to 5.
Right.
It's funny, you look at some of his picks, and they have, you know, implications worldwide or long-term, like the Dream Team, and then he picks a specific game with Notre Dame stopping UCLA. It just goes to show, again, how hard this really is to pick and choose. Do you want to go full?
I'm a huge college basketball fan.
Yes.
See? So I remember that game.
Do you remember
and I remember like, oh my
headline?
gosh, UCLA just lost. I don't remember the score.
After 88 comes 0.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
But you know,
tell me
the
yours.
thing I think with the whole thing with Cassius Clay, I think that was huge. But when you talk about boxing, you got to go Joe Louis.
No, because Muhammad Ali is the greatest heavyweight in the history of the
Rocky
sport.
Marciano.
He's the most impactful heavyweight
and
in the
I
history
agree it
of
was
the
huge,
sport.
but when you think about Joe Louis and him, you're talking about before a world war. Come on, it's affecting countries. With Joe Louis knocking out Max Schmeling. It was huge.
I want to see what's on your list, though.
It wasn't on my list.
Okay. It's not on his list. Let's find out what is on your list.
Well, you know, one of the things, I do have Tiger Woods.
Okay.
Tiger Woods is on that list, and, you know, the 12-stroke win.
Okay.
Hank Aaron breaking Babe Ruth's record. That Babe Ruth's record was the biggest record in sports, and for him to break that, that has to be on the list.
Okay.
Cal Ripken breaking Lou Gehrig's record.
Yeah.
That was another record that was bigger than life, and for him to break that, I thought that was a huge moment.
So your top 2 come out of baseball. How about that? Okay.
Yeah, and then the Giants upsetting an undefeated team, the Patriots, in the Super Bowl, plus that play with Eli Manning throwing to David Tyree. That was the #1 play, I think, in NFL history. For him to make, I mean, because it was against an undefeated team, it brought them back to help win that game. It was an unbelievable play with a spectacular catch that was the most unbelievable catch. I thought it was a huge play. So.
And your final 5 is Michael Jordan winning the 6th NBA title.
Finishing his career, well, he ended up messing it up and coming back. But anyway,
they always
finished
do.
His career. He steals the ball. He goes down. He makes the shot for his 6th championship. I thought it was huge.
He was on the Dream Team too.
You know what I want to ask Gary on this? What jumps out to me right away? You picked the Giants beating the Patriots, so preventing perfection. So tell me, why is that there over the 72 Dolphins, who actually did, go undefeated?
Because it wasn't as big then. It was a bigger game. Super Bowl got bigger. It's so huge that game.
Was also a boring game.
It's just because it was more recent.
Well, the thing was, you had an undefeated team who had broken scoring records. You had Tom Brady, who's thrown 50 touchdown passes, to come in and beat them. And then you talk about the moment. That play, come on. How could you have a bigger play where Manning escapes and Tyree makes impossible.
The guy never plays
It's so
again.
funny, you guys said at the very beginning, it was something that stuck in your head, and this one obviously is like it happened yesterday.
He's a football guy. What do you expect?
Yeah, but that's why I was so surprised.
His
top
reception for the greatest football
play.
Well, I was going to say the top 2 though from the football dude was baseball. So that's what came as a surprise to me. Let's go to Michael and find out what.
By the way,
I had the U.S. hockey team over the USSR also in 1980, and so much of that also was the political climate at the time. Cold War, us against them, and to beat this unbeatable team that had just dominated hockey was astounding. I had Hank Aaron's 715th home run as my number 2, not only because he surpassed what record that everybody thought was unbreakable, but because he took so much abuse on the way to do it and handled it with such dignity. That's why I got so upset when Bonds was chasing him with the steroids. Number 3, the Jets over the Colts in Super Bowl III. It defined the AFL. Here's this league that was getting very little respect. They had lost the first 2 Super Bowls resoundingly, and then they upset and win that.
And of course, I remember that even though I was young, because in Baltimore, Joe Namath was despised for his cockiness. Even as a child, I remember that.
Jesse Owens, number 4, the 1936 Olympics, 4 gold medals, 3 world records, and he sticks it straight up Hitler's nose, which was a tremendous historical moment. And then Bobby Thompson shot heard around the world, 1951 NL playoff game.
Okay, you guys agree, disagree, anything?
You know what?
After
seeing the Hank Aaron is a really good one. I mean, that's a really good one. 715. Because I remember the moment. Remember the fans running after him as he runs the bases. That's a good one, but I wouldn't put it in my list. It'd be 6.
Well, and of course, for me, the Cal Ripken connection to the Baltimore Orioles.
Well, that was a great
moment. He was such an icon, or continues to be an icon. But at the time, just that whole mentality of getting out there and playing every day and being the Iron Man, and he just, he was just an all-around good guy. So again, a Baltimore native, he'd be on my list.
And
I got to get to Kevin
when he broke it. I mean, that night, I thought that was just great television.
Yeah,
with him taking that.
The lap
around. I mean, it was Americana.
And the 2 things you remember about that broadcast, which were great, were 1, the numbers coming down on the building, and Camden Yards knew. And also, the best part, what Chris Berman and whoever was covering the game did that night, they didn't say a word. At the end, they just let Ripken do, he ran around.
Great announcers know when not to announce, right?
Exactly.
That's
you guys are all agreeing, man. Seems like I had the best list.
Yeah, well, I got to hear Kevin's. I'm going to have to take a break real quick, so let me get to Kevin's real fast.
Neil's topper and Michael's topper is my second choice. I have the
80.
The hockey team, the U.S. hockey winning number 2, and your number 5 is also my number 5 with Jordan leading the Bulls to 6 titles. Although I was almost thinking of amending that today to just Michael Jordan born. I think should have been my 5th because of not just the Bulls winning 6 and him being the greatest player I've ever seen in any sport, but just how he's transcended the way you market products, the way you're looked at as a player on and off the court, things like that. My number 1 is Namath and the guarantee. Apologies to Lynn and all the Baltimore fans, because the NFL is the most popular sport in this country today, and I think that was, where you look back is where things changed. It led to the merger. The Chiefs followed it up the next year.
It had already merged. The merger had already been announced.
Already announced, but it led to legitimizing, I should say, the merger.
Exactly.
So next year the Chiefs went and, really punched it home with over the Vikings. And, Namath just, double-digit, almost 20-point dogs, guaranteeing it and delivering. Any guarantee since then, whether it came through or not, it just, pales in comparison.
I know it was a big challenge for you guys, but you did a really great job of coming up with things that I think the viewers will probably agree with. And while we could debate it all day, we're going to give them the opportunity to tell us what they think about your list. And we kind of compiled, we put together the selection, and this is the It's Your Call top 5 according to our panelists today. We'll give you a chance to take a look at that as we take this break, and when we come back we'll hear from you, find out what you think the greatest moments in sports are, and we're going to talk a little bit about the athletes themselves. Who would be number 1 in your mind? We'll find out when we come back.